MyDoma Studio is your complete designer toolkit. You know this, right? MyDoma makes it easy to streamline your processes, track your projects, communicate with clients, and just get organized. It is created by designers for designers, specifically to address what you need as a design business owner. MyDoma is now together with Studio Designer, and they are the industry-leading solution. With 20,000 plus users, more designers choose their platform than any other. Are you ready to reach the next level of profitability and efficiency? Book a demo with MyDoma Studio today by going to mydomastudio.com/Luann. That's mydomastudio.com/Luann. Welcome to A Well-Designed Business. My name is Joann Kandrac, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. Today, I am joined again by two women who truly understand what it means to build a partnership that lasts. Joann Kandrac and Kole of Kandrac & Kole Interior Design have been business partners for more than 21 years. Not 5, not 10. 21. This in an industry where creative partnerships can be intense and entrepreneurial stress is real, that alone is worth paying attention to, that success rate of 21 years. When Joann and Kole first joined me on the show way back in episode number 616, we talked about their onboarding process and how they created a seamless, organized experience for their clients. It was clear even then that their success wasn't accidental. It was built on intention, systems, and mutual respect. And speaking of systems, I want to thank MyDoma Studio for sponsoring today's episode. If you've ever felt like the chaos of managing projects, tracking communication, and keeping all the moving parts straight is holding your business back, you're not alone. MyDoma Studio is built by designers for designers. It helps you streamline your process, organize your projects, and keep client communication tight and professional. And you already know this. Systems create freedom. If your back end is messy, your company and your projects are going to suffer. MyDoma makes it easier to implement real structure in your interior design firm. You can get 20% off your first 3 months at mydomastudio.com/A well-designed business. Go check it out. Now, today's conversation is different from the first time that Joann and Kole were here. Today, we're talking about what it takes to sustain a long-term business partnership. How do you make decisions together? How do you handle conflict? How do you grow as individuals while leading as a unit? If you've ever considered a partnership or are in one now, or simply want to strengthen how you lead inside your own interior design business, this episode is for you. I'm happy to introduce you to Joann and Kole. Hey, ladies, thanks so much for joining me on A Well-Designed Business today. I'm so happy to have you here finally. My bad, but finally.
Thanks, Luann. This is Joann Kandrac.
Hey, Luann, this is Kole. So happy to be here.
Yeah, it's taken a little too long for us to do this. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It's crazy. Anyway, we're going to move on from that conversation. It's just, there's no way around just the insanity of the podcast interviewing schedule. It's nuts. However, we're here now, and I'm super excited because, of course, we know each other in real life. I was on your podcast years ago, which we'll link in the show notes so that people can go and listen to that, and as opposed to along with all of your other episodes on Inside Design with Kandrac and Kole. But the thing is, what's interesting is that you guys have been in business together for 21 years. Mm-hmm. So Joann, I understand you have 13 or 14 years as a designer before that. Kole, 5 or 6, because it's your second career. here. But 21 years together is not a minute. And so my brain is going down the path of at 21 years, I could, and all 8 years of podcasting. So you've had, see, and I know that informs it because when you do a thing, so day to day, you're running your design firms. But when then you go and talk about it every single week, I know that forces constant reflection on how we do a thing. Can we do a thing better? And of course, I'm sure throughout all the interviews you did, you probably, like me, learn a thing. And I go like, we got to take this back to the business. This person does this. This is great, right? So I'm tempted to ask you questions about how to run a well-designed interior design firm. But, I don't get the chance to interview smart ladies who have also been business partners for 21 years too often. So we're going to let that other topic just organically weave itself in, and we're not going to lose this opportunity. I mean, I've had a partnership with Minnie in business for 43 years. It's no joke. There are great days, and there are days when Elvis just needs to leave the building, or we're not going to be able to continue this thing in any level, shape, or form. So how do we want to start this conversation? Maybe why did you become partners when you were both independent designers to begin with? Is that a good place to start this, guys?
Probably.
Okay, so Joann, you want to get us started with that?
Sure. We both worked at a retail design store.
Oh, okay.
I was one of the buyers and I did all the merchandising, and Kelly worked in the fabric department. And so we worked together, I don't know, maybe was it 3 years, Cal? And we really clicked. We really liked each other. And then the owner of the store was approached by a designer to do a room at a show house that was in the community. And he was like, no, he never said yes to anything. He was afraid that if he said yes, then people would bother him all the time. Well, Kelly, who just happened to be standing there, said, no, you need to do this. This would be great for business. And she said, I'll do it. Joann and I will do it. Unbeknownst
Without
to
even
me.
asking Joann.
She volunteers you.
And so she kind of talked him into it. So of course I was excited to do it too. And we ended up doing, it was a really beautiful home. It had 2 master bedrooms. So we did the upstairs master.
Okay.
We had so much fun doing it. We had never worked in tandem like that before, but everything was really seamless. It was beautiful. We had a really great time. And so she said, well, what do you think? Would you want to go into business together? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. Like I said, I had worked there for 13 years.
Yeah.
So we just said, all right, we're doing it. We had business cards made. We opened up a storage unit. We went to the bank. We got an attorney. We
did all the right things. I love that. You did all the right things.
Yeah, we did all the right things right away. I mean,
and did you do it as a side hustle in the beginning and keep the job at the furniture store? You walked in and gave notice.
We jumped.
Oh, wait. So what's so funny is, not for nothing, but there's that guy sitting there going, I knew I shouldn't have done that darn show house. I lost my 2 best people. Sold a lot of furniture for the next 6 months to all the consumers, but I lost my 2 best people.
Absolutely. That is exactly what happened. Yep.
You never thought of it that way. I'm looking at Joann's face. She's like,
I never really thought about it that way. I mean, he was devastated when I went into his office.
I can imagine. 13 years, right?
Devastated. Well, she had
in retail.
Yeah.
She had been there so long, but I hadn't been, but I had been working on my own for 4 years, and I was tired.
Yeah.
And she had skills that I didn't have. And so we were brave together.
Yeah.
And
I love that line. We were brave together. Oh my God. See, that's a money line. I love that.
Because it's still brave together. Yeah.
I can feel it viscerally. Like that's what it takes sometimes to get a business off the ground. Not sometimes, all the times, right? Yeah. But we were brave together is so telling. I love it.
I remember my girlfriend, Roxanne, saying to me, I can't believe you just did it. Like you didn't even pause. You got a business phone number, a business fax line. You went to the bank, you went to City Hall, you got an S Corp going. I'm like, well, what other choice did we have? If you're going to do it, you got to set yourself up for success. I'm not going to go in.
You're going to go into business. You got to go into business.
Well, but you guys interviewed people for 8 years. You know that that is not actually the way, 8 out of 10 do it. 8 out of 10 are like, I have business cards, and if you're going to give me a check, I'll just put it in my personal checkbook, right?
Oh, well, we did go round and round about the company name.
Okay.
Around. And we did
That's
kind
good.
of go around and around about one other thing. What was it? If we wanted a niche down to something.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Like a specialty.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
And you did not, right? You do full service, all different decor, all different styles, like
Mhm.
all the things,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Like you
But one
are
of the
driven,
very
the
first
aesthetic is
things
driven
we
by the consumer, right?
Yes. And one
Yeah.
of the very first things we did was we've always been big from the very beginning in coaching and, signing up for conferences and continuing the education and continuing to invest in ourselves. And we joined a group called Ladies Who Launch. If
Oh,
you remember this was so long
yes.
ago. And the premise was it was a small group of women. There was probably what, Joann?
10.
10 of us. And the point was we came together once a month and everybody in the group was not necessarily a designer, but everybody was an entrepreneur with an idea that they wanted to grow. And the premise was that we all come together and we incubate each other's businesses. So you don't work on yourself, you give your idea to the group, and then everybody works on you. Month after
Wow.
month after month. And we came out of that. We learned so much from that group. But one of the things we learned, because that's when we were like, should we niche? Should we be doing, kid design, yacht design, senior design, And what came out of that was you guys are so perfect together. Your personalities, your partnership, the way you are together. And now keep in mind, we were probably 6, 7 months into our business.
Oh, I don't even think it was that long, Kel.
It
I don't
wasn't.
even think it was that long. Mm-mm.
So they were like, just be you and go forth.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that's
I
what
have
we
to
did.
say, my observation of the half a dozen or so times that I've been with you guys over the years at different markets or conferences, there is you can feel the bond. You can feel the connection. You are not just, it does feel very yin and yang. It really, like if you had said to me, we're actually sister-in-laws for 40 years, like I
Some
would have
people
believed
ask
it.
us if we are sisters.
Yeah, like
all the time.
I would have believed it.
People
I would
ask a
have,
lot if
yeah,
we're sisters.
yeah, because
We're
you
soul
really are
sisters.
very copacetic together.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
some nudgy layer that is just beyond business partnership layer that comes across when you are together. Like it's like an old married couple who finishes each other's sentences, right?
It's very true.
Yes.
It's very true, especially on our podcast. You will see that time and
Yes.
again.
Yeah.
Yes, because I've listened to your podcast many times, and it's like that. It's like bing, 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 bing. And I'm like, oh my God, these ladies are
she
just
knows
connected.
she knows when I'm about to forget something, and she's going to come right up with it. Like she has saved me so many times.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So it's actually better than actually being sisters, because the sister might let you hang there and just like die on the vine for a minute.
I will not let her
True.
die on the vine.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm so happy to know that you did all the right things from the beginning, took it serious. You were launching a business, not a hobby. You left full-time jobs. So of course, that was also probably in your mind. We're not doing this for fun. We're doing this to make money, right?
100%. We have
faces.
bills to pay. Yes.
Yes.
Now, to that point, at this stages of your personal lives, were either of your spouses, partners, families like, girl, what are you doing? You have a full-time paycheck now. We're going to be wondering if it's coming in, or that is not a thing. You are, like, what is that about?
No, we were really so lucky because we have our lives are very similar, but we have similar husbands too, which I have to say are really the nicest men on the planet. We have wonderful husbands, and they were so supportive and so great. And then our daughters at the time were like, I don't know, Kelly's might have been 8 or 10 and mine were maybe like 13 and 15. And so they watched us create this business. And now as they're adults and watching them become businesswomen, it's really rewarding because I know that they watched us and they learned a lot from us.
They knew it was
Yes,
possible.
for sure.
Yeah. It's like everybody
sure.
always says, you
But
have to see somebody else doing it.
Yes. And I will say, I mean, Joann had kind of been at that showroom for so long. I had left the corporate world 4 years prior, where I was the breadwinner of the family, and I did not leave on my own accord. And so, but I just, when I decided to change careers, I went back to school and I started working part-time at the showroom that Joann and I worked at. So I was hustling big time. And thank God my husband was like, you do you, we'll just cut back. We'll do this and this while you. So, I mean, I was in it to win it from the very beginning because I had some bucks to earn. So
yeah, the pressure. You know, it's funny because I have to say in a lot of presentations that I do live, I will also often make that point that so many, and I know you guys have come across it as well, so many interior designers, you know, have the luxury and the privilege of starting their business while they're raising children or as a change of career, but the partner or the spouse is the breadwinner. And I think, and I've said to designers, you know, when I, particularly, if I having a conversation with a designer and we're you know me, within 5 minutes, I'm going to ask you if you're paying yourself. Like, so I'm just going to ask you, like I ask everybody, I'm like, so that's great. How many years in business? Oh, 3 years. Are you paying yourself? Then I get the face. Well, hopefully this year I will, right? And I'm not making fun. I'm not. I get it that it's hard. But the point is that every designer I've ever met that needed to make an income from day one has. And so the ones that often don't because they don't have to. They can keep not making the hard decisions, not doing the things that make it profitable, not drawing a line on giving away their time and their money because it is not the breadwinner or even the 50%. And I feel like that often the double-edged sword is you have great taste. Maybe you do have a degree. Maybe you don't. Maybe like Nate Berkus and you don't. You know, you can be a designer. But if you also don't have to be an earner, you can be a designer for 20 years and really never make any money.
No, we had to be earners.
Yeah.
And we were totally aligned with that from the very beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's really the difference. When you have to be, you do. You can and you do. There's no delaying it.
But it's stayed after all these years. It has stayed a driver for us. And we talk about you all the time, Luann. We say, what's your why? What is our why? And every decision we make, we talk about it. Yeah, and we are driven by profitability. We have done many things for charity, and we've done other things that we just thought maybe would be just good for us. Like, you know, our podcast was a passion project for many, many years. But I'm not doing it unless it's worth my time. I'm just not.
I mean, to me, it's like what I just heard in there is, you know, 80%, 90%, whatever it is of the things that you guys do are driven by profitability. That doesn't mean 100%. You don't have passion projects. So that to me, the analogy is, look, we all go to work. We work a full-time job, but that doesn't mean we don't go to yoga at 6:00 or we don't go, you know, visit grandchildren on Saturday. Like there's still time to do things that aren't like, oh my God, I got to make $1. But you make the dollar first.
We're so aligned in that way. We both have similar goals. We never wanted to be the ones that were working 24/7 and killing ourselves. You know, we both allowed for each other to take vacations. And we, you know, Kelly goes to yoga a couple times a week. I go to my Italian class. We definitely take time and we've made it that way. We never wanted to get burned out.
Right.
But we talked about that from the very beginning.
Interesting. Tell me about those beginning conversations.
Well, we had it was kind of like, what are your goals? How big do you want to make this? Where do you want to take this? You know, do you want to be the best of the best, the president of the United States? Or do you want to just do good work really hard, have money for vacations, and if your kids need special things, and call it a day? And that's kind of where we landed. That we wanted to make a good living, but that our mental and spiritual health was incredibly important, and we weren't going to we weren't going to work to that detriment.
Right. So that's a great tip for somebody potentially going into business with a friend. We have to have certain foundational conversations. I always, you know what always reminds me of? I went to Catholic school and grammar school, right? And it reminds me of the pre-Cana training when you go to get married. It's like the priest is like, okay, let's get the values figured out. Like, you know, how are we going to raise these kids? You know, are they going to go to private schools? Are they going to go to public schools? Are they going to get confirmed? Or, you know what I'm saying? It's like you don't want to find out when your kid is 5 that one of you thinks that they shouldn't be starting communion training, right?
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute, you're a Catholic. I thought you were going to. Yeah, but I don't believe in that. I'm Catholic. Catholic only because my parents are. Like, you know, like that.
Well, it is
find
kind
that
of like
out.
you are. It's almost like your parents, and this is kind of your baby. So you have to decide, like, do we want to send our baby to See Next this year, or do we want to, you know, send our baby? Are we going to go to High Point this year? Like, there's a lot of decisions, and you know, most of the time we agree on things, but there's times when someone will come up with an idea and the other one will be like, I don't know, see, talk me into it, or it's a big no for me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So we have this conversation in the beginning where we start to talk about what does life look like? How does this business support our life? And what does that mean? Because it could have been, one of you could have been like, you know, I want us to go full pedal 68 hours a week. I want to be on the AD 100 list by year 5, blah, blah, blah. But instead, you know, you talked it through and you figured out that you have similar goals: great design, great business, great clients, but great home life. Like, we're not screwing that up, and we don't care if we don't get AD 100, but we still get to raise our daughters,
That's
right?
pretty much it in a nutshell, really.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that was one of the big ones. Then you also talked about the niching. So you weren't going to be a specific niche. You decided that you were going to be, you know, full luxury service design for, you know what, any family that wants it. Like, the idea is the brand is you as opposed to the brand is the niche. That's kind of what I'm hearing, right?
Yeah,
it's like
true. That's true.
I feel like the partnership is actually another person in the room with your potential client, right? It's like this dynamic is part of this. And does the client like it? Does the client enjoy it? Is that good for them, right?
I think people love the fact that there are, you know, 2 of us and you've got 2 people working on it. We kind of laugh sometimes because we'll go to a consultation where, you know, we're waiting to get into the car. And then as soon as the door shuts, Kelly will go, I think they liked you more than me. I was too loud. Or I was, and then there's sometimes we'll go somewhere and, you know, Kelly will notice that, you know, this client's kids went to UGA and her daughter went to UGA. So they have that to talk about. So it's kind of nice because, you know, on a personal level, one of us is going to click with somebody about something.
There's twice the things to potentially align on, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what other types of foundational questions did you have to go through? Did you work out of a studio from the beginning? Did you work out of each other's homes? Like, was that a part of the equation? Are we going to rent a space? What happened with that?
Well, we started our business in 2005. So we worked out of our homes.
Okay.
Then one day, then the recession came.
Okay.
And we thought, you know what?
Rents are cheap.
Let's not go under the sheets like everybody else. Rent's cheap now. Landlords are flipping out. Let's make the big move. You know, we had been to High Point enough times and been turned away because we weren't, you know, established enough or whatever. And we took that recession for everything we could squeeze out of it.
I love it.
We got our first office in downtown Ackworth in this adorable little old building above a dress boutique. And we marched ourselves into High Point like we owned the place, opened up so many accounts, you wouldn't even believe it.
We have an address. We'll have an account.
We are going to make it through this, and there's going to be a lot less competition on the other side. So let's just push.
That's exactly what happened.
We were totally aligned on that. Again, braver together.
Amazing. Yep.
And we were just bulls in a china shop.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
Yeah.
You know, I've told the story. The same happened with Vin and myself in 2008. So we had probably, let me think about that. So that's how many years ago? So that's 18 years ago. Yeah. We're in this space 27 years. So we would have been in there about 12 years, right? God, listen to me doing math on the top of my head. That's pretty crazy. But we were in this space about 12 years at that point when 2008 came. And when we had gone into the space, it was 1999. And of course, that was the height of Tuscan Mediterranean design.
Oh, God.
Olive green and avocado gold, or I'm saying them backwards. You know what I'm saying. Harvest gold and avocado green and La Burgundies and the bullion fringes and the deep woods and stuff. So the whole showroom reeked of this. I mean, it was beautiful, but as we are in just finished, so the crash is 2008, September, October. Now we are in our slowest months ever, even in a great year, is December and January and February. But as December and January are coming, I'm like, I need to redecorate the showroom. He's like, you're out of your mind right now. I'm like, no, sir, I am not out of my mind. I said, we need to redecorate the showroom. And he's like, what are you talking about? And I said, Vin, here's the thing. This is not our first rodeo. We have seen whenever there's a major economic downturn, and we've been through multiple at this point, we're going to watch our competitors go out of business. We're going to watch them. We're going to watch. There's always 5 or 6 people right in our same town that are custom window treatment specialists. And we're going to watch it. Between you and I, we could probably pick which ones aren't going to last. I said, but here's what we also know. About a year after it all clears, there's all the bright new shiny ones. We've never in all these years not had 5 of us in the same darn town. And I said, and here's the thing, our showroom looks old. It is already 12 years old, and it's not even so bad that it was 12 years old, but the style had directly changed from the heavy. This was the era of white and gray and, brushed wood. Yes. And I'm like, so it's not even like, well, let me just take some bullion off of this crap. Like, this is like completely out of date. And I said, and here's the thing. So in 2008, so if I'm born in 62, what would I have been in 2008? I have no idea. I can't do that math. I'm probably in my late 40s. I don't know. Right. I can't do that math.
Yes.
That's too big. So it's like I'm in my late 40s, right? And I said to him, I'm already cusping on when I go out to somebody who's 30, 32, 35, big hot shot, woman that moves from New York to Short Hills and now has her $3 million home. I'm already cusping on, can you really advise me though? Like, are you cool enough? Right? I'm not out, but I'm cusping. I said, now you add to it, some yacht and hot whippersnapper comes in here who's all young and pretty and cool and has the gray and white showroom. And you know what? They're going to go with her, not because she knows what she's doing. I can run circles around her.
Yeah.
But
So
we'll
true.
just look old. And so he's like, how much do you need? And I'm like, I probably need about 35 or 40K. He's like, you're killing me. I'm like, just start saving your pennies. And we did. In the next 6 months, we completely gutted it and revamped it to that same instinct that you guys had, that rents are going to be low.
That reminds me, okay, so in 21 years, we have rebranded and redone our website from scratch 3 times.
Yeah.
And the first time we did it, maybe it was the second time we did it, we took out a line of credit to do it because we're like, we're not going to like tap our cash. We'll just, we'll just pay it off. But, there's no need to kill ourselves, but we have to do this.
Yeah.
So, and thankfully,
I feel like a website is super, super important.
Yeah.
Your website and your photography, we've always invested a lot into that.
It's the calling card,
as I'm talking about it, I'm thinking to myself, thank God we were aligned in these things because we could have really
what if I had said,
no,
I don't want to spend that?
I know.
Yeah, thank God. One of us was a good salesperson to the other, or at least we were just completely on the same page because we didn't argue about.
All right, you gave me one, I'll give you one. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because I'm curious now when the decisions get harder, because what I have talked about on the show many times is for Vin and Bill and myself for many years. Vinny is always a managing partner. Let's be serious. He's Vinny. Like, he's the guy who holds the money. So at the end of the day, he's the decision maker. Okay. But as the years go on, that's fine for the first 10 years. I'm like, whatever you tell me to do, I'll do. And if I don't like it, I'm still going to do it because you're the boss. But then you start to get a little of your own chops, right? And you start to have your own lane and you start to be smart at the things that you're smart at. And you start to notice like, wow, I'm actually better at these things than you are. That's almost sacrilegious to say out loud. I get it, but it's true, right? So what we learn is that I'm the visionary, that I'm the one that was like, we need a website. What do we need a website for? We need email address. What do we need those for? We need a podcast. What's a podcast? We needed this. We need a new showroom. Why? So I learned that I'm the one who looks into the future. But the thing is, the mechanism for not actually getting divorced over a business topic is that we understood lanes, and financial lanes are his only. So I can have an idea that costs money And if we actually don't have the money to do it, then I'm done. I'm done. Like, stop talking. You're talking to the wall. But if we have the money to do it, and it's in my lane, which is future thinking, which was human, HR at our business, hiring, firing, that was me. Branding was me. Then he had to listen, and he had to make the decision, yes, on the money, but more on, and where if it was like when we went to buy our first building, we had been renting for 7 years. And he wanted to buy a building. I thought he was out of his mind. I was like, you're crazy. Oh my God, we're spending $1,700 a month rent. That's a $5,000 mortgage. You're out of your mind. We have little kids. We have kids in college. Oh my God. And he's just like, we're buying a building. You can stop thinking about it or stressing about it because it's happening. And I was like, okay, let's just sell more blinds. You know what I'm saying? So we just understood when it was the one person's area, we could talk all day and make our case, but there had to be a mechanism for stop. It's done. It's my lane. So did you guys, you just always got to it together? Or did you have certain things where you're like, typically I'm right on these things. You know what I mean?
That is such a good question.
There's been a handful of times where maybe we both felt really, but it was never anything super huge. But I do remember flipping a coin a couple of times because we really couldn't. I mean,
Impasse.
like what you're saying is valid, what I'm saying is valid. You really feel that way. I really feel this way. So if I'm not going to sway you, you're not going to sway me. Let's just flip a coin, and you got to go with it. So
I will say, I mean, we're both equally involved in our finances.
You know it, right?
We look at our cash flow every single Monday.
Good.
So down to the cash.
Yeah.
So we know at any point in time how much money we have for travel, conferences, or looking at the pipeline. If are we?
So
in the
one
shit
person
lane?
is it like, why not? And the other person's like,
No.
you have no idea.
No.
Yeah, no.
no, we
But
both
I
know.
will say Joanna's a little more conservative than I am. I kind of get like, I love all the shiny things and all the new, and I'm like, oh, and Joanne's like, do you have FOMO again? She's always just giving me shit. And
Did you
I'm like,
see
yes.
that? We need to get a.
I do. I see everybody in London, and I want to go. Okay,
You
okay.
guys
So
come to the
shoot me
London
now.
trip. You girls should come. You talking about the Business of Interior Summit?
Yes.
Are you talking about that one with
The
Rachel
one that
Usher?
just happened.
Oh
the one that
it's
just
in
happened, the
June.
Destination Design in London that came after Paris Deck Off.
Okay. I know. That Paris trip, watching it on Instagram was tough, wasn't it?
And Joanne's like, cool your jets. What's your why, Kelly? What's your why? We're busy right now.
Do I need anything other than that?
Yeah, I'm like, so, but it's good because she reins me back, and then I push her, into things that she might not have done, but I'm like, girl, we're stepping out. We're doing it. So, but yeah, there isn't one like, I mean, we both have ideas and we joke like, wow, your brain is working today.
Yeah.
Holy cow. So we're both really contributing, which is I'm so grateful for because neither one of us get pissy. Like you're
the other thing, I think we're
or,
both just genuinely pretty happy people. We're not moody. We don't get in like these funky kind of moods like, oh God, what's she going to be like today? We're really kind of consistent in our moods.
Yeah.
And I think that helps.
Yes,
it helps
I agree.
a lot.
Yeah, it does help. Vinny and I are the same
and
also. We're not like sulkers or,
No.
we can, and what's so
We're
funny is the
positive.
employees will watch us go to throws and then 5 minutes later it's like, so we're leaving for dinner in about 15? I'm like, yeah, see you in 15.
That's how
I'll
we
get
are.
my stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, whatever.
Yeah, one of us will be salty and it's funny because like I'll watch Lisa and Lynn in our office and they're like going, and then 2 seconds later it's done and we don't even care.
Yeah. One thing I did pick up in there, like when you think about the toss a coin moment, I think it shouldn't be underestimated that if when you do it and you make the agreement, no matter where it lands, it's what it's going to be. That you follow through with that. I don't think that should be underestimated.
It's done.
No,
It's
but
done.
like literally there has to be a moment to that, Joann and Kelly, because especially a toss a coin moment where you are, the only reason you're tossing the coin is because you're both fully committed to an opposite point of view.
Mhm.
And to just say, okay, whatever the coin says, that doesn't mean like your passion for that point of view doesn't go away and that person's either, but somebody gets what they wanted. And I think that as a mechanism for partners, if that's going to be something somebody uses, there has to be the aftertalk of, and you can't then but it, or yes and, or I'm sorry, I still have to, or be pissy about the next steps that you're going to take, because then the toss a coin moment doesn't work. Actually,
we don't hang on to we don't hang on to anything like that.
It's like I used to
that's
tell
a big
my
deal.
girls
I think
when
you're
they
not
were growing up.
you're underestimating it. It's a big deal.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that because, you know, when you have a partnership and you're in business together, you got to be grown up. And if I'm pissy and still trying to prove my point, you know, 2 weeks later, where is that getting us? I mean, we have a business to run, you know, and it's like I used to tell my girls when they were growing up, you got to give to get.
Yeah.
You know, you want to drive you over to your friend's house all the way across town. Well, then you need to make your bed and do the dishes. I mean, so if I didn't win the coin toss, you know, I'll get my chance down the line.
I think the other thing that we haven't even brought up, which is a huge one, is the work ethic.
Yeah.
You know, like we both work really hard, pretty equally. If I had someone who was a slacker, and Kelly would be the same way. I just couldn't deal with it. And I think we learned that working on that show house.
Yeah.
We kind of saw how each other worked.
You both step up.
So there's never, I don't ever feel it. We've talked about it. She doesn't either. Like, you're not pulling your weight. I think we both pull our weight. We even try to do it so that we are helping the other one out. You know, we owe it to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just our personalities, I think. But we both work really hard, and
there has to be alignment
slacking
in that, right? And the thing is, what I've learned in our own partnerships, I have multiple partnerships all around me, 3 different businesses, God help me. Okay, partners in all of them, except for this one. But what I've learned is that, you know, there's hills to die on and there's hills to walk away from, right? And I've also learned that sometimes you can't measure it hour for hour, like Vinny. In other words, for all the years that we were doing Window Works together, he carried on him the financial burden of the company. Like, he went to sleep with, am I making payroll on Friday? Or am I making the truck payment on Friday? Like, he went to sleep, and believe me, he tortured me with it every day. What did you sell today? We're behind sales. We hit goal, but like, what are we going to do past goal? Like he tortured me that way, but I didn't go to sleep with, like, you guys do the checkbook together every Monday. And so there were times as you're, you know, figuring out your ground in your partnership that, you know, it's like you can't decide that if it took me 6 hours to go measure a project for a designer in Manhattan, and then it took me another 6 hours to do that quote, and then another 3 hours to place the order, that, you know, neither one can say, well, that's worth 2 hours of your doing finances, or it's just, that's my job. And I've got to do it the best of everybody in the building. And then your job is finances, and you got to do it the best of everybody in the building. Like, that's how you guys have similar, you're going to it the same jobs. We were very different, but we had to make sure that we had respect for what the other person was doing. He'll tell you every day of the week, I'm a better salesperson than him. He still sold as much as we sold $1 million a year each. One year he was 1 million, one year is 999, but my profit margin was always higher. And Vinny respects that. You see, Vinny likes that. He's like, you know, there's something to be said. You made us more money on the million you sold, right?
Yeah.
And so the thing is, with you guys, you do the finances together, so you own that together. What about design? Do you split up design projects, different areas, or do you do all of the designing and the curating and the editing and the mood boards? Do you do it all together as a team, or do you slice that up? How do you handle that?
Go ahead, Kel. I'll let you answer that one.
Well, when we were newbies, we did every job together.
Okay.
Well, let me preface this by saying we definitely start every project together. We go on every consultation together so we can meet
Okay.
the client and build that rapport. Like we said, one might kick off better with the client than the other. And we end with every project. We present together and we install together. But as the years have gone by and our projects have gotten bigger and bigger, we have had to divide and conquer. So now we each kind of are the lead on a project, but we always come together and say and run it past each other just to make sure, we're aligned. And I don't have to love everything she's doing, but I'm really more looking at it for like,
Did you miss something?
remember
A
their
glaring
cats still have
mistake. Yeah.
paws, like that
Yeah.
that fabric's not going to work.
I was like, damn it, she remembered that.
Yeah, like things like that.
She's got a much better memory than me, which really helps me because she'll be like, that light switch is in the way of that art. That art's not going to work. And I'll be like,
yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we split up that way, but otherwise,
Yeah.
yeah.
And when you present it to clients, when you go on the first appointments together, do you tell the client from the beginning, like, one of us will end up being lead on this and we will? No, it's in the background, one is lead, but because client facing, it's all duo. Got it.
Yes,
And then
they will have a project manager. Lisa or Lynn in our office will like take it from the design point afterwards. So they do all the expediting, any issues with any ordering, setting up the install and all that. So if the client hears from any of, they might hear from them, but it could be either Joann or I,
okay.
talking to them. So the client doesn't really know that there's
and what I'm hearing though too, and what I'm realizing is you're very seasoned and savvy businesswomen. First of all, it's clear. So you're not getting tied up in knots like, I emailed her, you didn't email her. It's it just is what it is. And the client isn't like, well, why did Kelly email? I thought I asked Joann the question.
We have none of that kind of drama. I don't even, it's hard for me to remember when I would have that kind of little bit of angst in my life. We don't have any of that.
No.
We are
and
so
I don't even
lucky.
necessarily mean it from an angst like, oh, she's doing it, not me. But like, should you be the one to email or should you don't worry about that. You have business savvy and you know that if you're going to go communicate with the client, it's okay. And if Joann is going to, that's okay too. We're not overthinking the communication should only come from one of us.
There's so much that's unsaid that I don't even know how to describe it.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's the business savvy. It's the acumen that sits back here.
We have
it's guiding you unconsciously.
Yeah.
Yes. I think it's a mix of, it's a lot of respect. It's a lot of work ethic, but it's also really grace. When we were at home working during COVID, I hired a coach, Deborah Gerard. She was helping me just with some personal stuff. But one thing she taught me was the concept of grace and to give yourself grace. So for me as a type A perfectionist, workaholic, I had never given myself grace before. And when I learned that, I could also give it to other people. So if Joann says, I'm having a hard day, or I have a migraine, or I'm feeling a little down today, girl, I got you all day. Go. Leave everything to me. It actually makes me feel good to take over for you,
Yeah.
So I think we do that pretty seamlessly. I won't really, if somebody's emailed her, I'm probably not going to email back. But if I know she's, got doctor's appointments that afternoon or she's with her grandkids, I'll go ahead and answer for her. So it's that direct grace
we're really
thing.
nice to each other, I realize.
I think that's what it is.
are.
Yeah, I guess we are. Yeah.
I mean, we really like each other.
We're grown-ups. What are you going to do? It's a business. We got to make it run seamlessly.
Yeah. So I have to, I'm going through my mind, anytime I've talked with designers who are partners where it's not working, because nobody calls me and says, hey, our partnership is great. Can we just tell you about it? I get the email, our partnership is like dying on the vine. Can you help? Right. And what I have found is that I don't care if I've coached probably 4 or 5 partnerships throughout the years. And I don't mean long-term coaching, 5, 6 sessions, whatever it might be, to get them through a rough spot. What I have found is that you can label the problem of every partnership in 2 things. Not setting up that what does this look like for us? Do we agree on this vision?
Yeah.
Right. And the other thing that you said, which is respect and grace. It starts off with not having clear expectations and saying what you want, right? And so you just go off to the races, and now you do things a certain way, and one of the people is more silent about it and saying, "Oh, I didn't want to do that from the beginning, but now we're doing it that way." But now you get 2, 3, 4 years into it, and you get a little nerve and you get a little comfort, and now you start to complain about something that's been that way the whole time, as if the other person's supposed to know that this isn't good because it's what you set it up for, right?
Yeah.
And then the other is, once that little nasty thing starts to take hold, that those little resentments and those little missed expectations, and the place where you feel like you're not getting your due, now comes the lack of respect and lack of grace. Now it becomes nitpicky, and it's very tough to get by that. And I've said that there was one duo, I was like, look, this whole thing has to be broken down. It has to be broken down as if it's starting over again now. New agreements for finances, for payment, for vacations, for hours, and for who works on what and what projects. I said, if you keep carrying this old crap, and saying, well, that's what we said when we started it. Guess what? I know, but she no longer wants it that way. So what are you going to do? Just keep saying that's what we said? You can, but this is like, what's that definition of insanity? We're doing the same thing every day, right?
Well,
so, you did good things from the beginning.
After having the podcast for 7 years and also leading the Insiders Tour at High Point for, what, Joann, 5 years or even more? We were... the OGs. I think, we're obviously very approachable people. Yeah. It's pretty obvious. And so we do get approached by designers who want to know about partnerships. And first and foremost, they come to their first question is, should we still maintain our own businesses, but then do, this thing together? And then how do we pay each other? And No.
Right? Like what part of our own business is separate is a partnership? Like
you scrap everything and you start together as a whole. I mean, it was the smartest thing Joann ever did when we very first got together, because I had this black book of clients that I had gotten from working at that showroom on my own. And she didn't, obviously, because she was just working in a different capacity.
Right. She was the buyer.
But she said, only 50-50 am I coming into this. And so I'm
not dealing with 35, 65,
and so I should take more of that project than you should. Yep. Right. We're in it,
the only thing that I did was we went to an attorney to get our buy-sell agreement. And I had a stipulation in there that if, something happened, within the first 3 years, that she couldn't touch this list
of clients. Yeah. That makes sense.
That was the only thing. Otherwise,
it's a prenup, 50-50. Right? Like, let's have our agreements before we have our fights.
Right? One checking account, one set of books.
Yep.
I don't know how anybody would think of it any other way, but most people do.
And I'm telling you, they do. It's crazy. Yeah. I have met partnerships where their salaries, their pay, is based on the projects that they do and the profitability of those projects. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, no.
Like, literally, if one of them lands a project that if they do a book of a business $1 million in a year, and the other one does a book of business of $500,000, they get paid based on that. And I'm just like, that just is the breeding ground
just have
for
your own business.
That's exactly right. And this is what I said. I'm like, what are we doing? Just slice it up and dice it up and let it go, right? And then another time that I talked with a designer, and she was so distraught because she truly wanted to, I don't remember if she was maybe 3 to 5 years in business at this point with her partner. And it was, that point in business where it's getting traction and you're like, wow, this is becoming the thing we imagined it would be. This is great. And now you do things like investing in business consultants and investing in high point trips and investing in more knowledge, right? Well, they had set it up from the beginning that you're going to fall over when I tell you, because I know you're both going to be surprised too. They had set it up from the beginning that at the end of each month, they separated and wrote out of the checkbook whatever profit was there and just cut each other checks. So if at the end of October, they finished projects and there was 10,000 in profit, they each got 5. And then at the end of, February, if there was 30,000 in projects, they each got 15. And I'm like, where do we have the money to build the business? Month? Yeah. Where do we have the money? I mean, they would leave cost to be open number in there. You know what I'm saying? But like all the profit, like true net profit off the top. And I'm like, but where's the money to build the business? And that was the problem for that woman that I was talking to. She's like, I see now that we're onto something. I see that we can grow it. And she also didn't want to be, Corey Damon Jenkins. She just wanted to make a nice lifestyle. You know what I mean? But the other partner had a much more pressured home life. I don't recall if she was a single mother or just like really whatever, but more pressure there, and was like, I need that money every month. You can't take 5,000, go to High Point, because then that means I don't get my 2,500 or whatever it is. And it was such a philosophical difference on what the business's mechanism is. Right? One woman, the business was to build a lifestyle. The other woman, the business was to build a paycheck. And that is really such tough. They shouldn't be difference. Partners. Yeah. No, it was, I felt such agony for the woman because they also, don't forget, it's always this too. I love her. She's my friend. That's not to be underestimated, you know?
I mean, there's been times when we have gotten together for our cash flow meeting and we have giggled at how much money is in the bank. But let me tell you, within 4 months, you can have barely anything.
That's right. That's right.
And so we never really, thankfully, neither one of us are huge risk takers because, and that's, I guess, why we've been in business for 21 years and we've
you
missed
also agree on the investments that grow the business, though, right?
Yeah,
like there is a philosophy of like you said it a half hour ago, Kelly, when you said when we wanted to make a new website, a new branding, we went on and got a line of credit. Like that's a valid business decision. That's not somebody choking somebody back. Do you know how many designers have said to me, like it's a badge of honor? I've never had one nickel of debt the entire time I'm in business. And I'm like, and? Yeah, great, but why? Like what? Well, like, it's good, but have you grown your business to the level it could be based on your experience and your expertise without being in debt? High five. But if you're holding your business back and you're not getting your next branding shots and you're not getting your next website because you don't want to be in debt, I'm sorry. You don't get brownie points at the end of your business career for never being in debt. You get brownie points for having more money than you'd have less money. It's like,
it's true. Lessons learned.
Yeah, I mean, you don't spend needlessly, but it's a business. It's going to require capital, right?
Well, it's really important to us to have the money to put ourselves out there. So whether it be High Point, whether it be, we were recently in Italy, we were invited to go to the Mercante and Fiera to go to the antique fair there as sponsored designers. Whether we go, there's so many things. Hiring coaches, we constantly hiring coaches.
The best
even though we coach
always do.
Plenty ourselves, we're still learning every day. And we have to set aside funds for that. It's super important.
Yeah, no, I love it. So we know that for designers that come to you and they ask you, what's the secret sauce of partnership, that you've enunciated a few things. You talked about the foundational agreements about what the vision is. You've talked about having grace and respect. You've talked about, alignment and personalities and friendship. Like that's you can't plan on that, but you can make sure. It's almost like you wouldn't get married on your first date, so you probably shouldn't be partners with a designer that you hit it off with on your first date either, right? It's the same thing. Like, get to know somebody, right? Do I really want to be in bed with you in this every day of the week? So that you guys have down. Are there things that we haven't talked about that you're like, this is a thing? Like, when I think back, this was another critical reason or why we're successful, or a do that we instinctively did, but you recognize might not be instinctive. Or even when you're talking to designers, like that one that said, like many have said to you, should we just keep our own businesses and then do it together? What are some of the other, is there any other thing that comes to mind that a designer listening right now would be like, but what if this, or how about that? Or, you know what I'm saying? Anything come to mind? I kind of rang through it in my head.
It sounds so strange. I was just answering questions for an interview that the question was, what's one of the worst things that have happened to your business that taught you? And I can honestly say there hasn't been like this huge thing that caused a lot of angst or that was a big problem. I don't know. I just don't think we're really lucky that way. We've never really had a big problem that we couldn't handle.
I also have to say that I also think, Joann, it's how we look at things and how we approach things. I think some people might have flipped a lid and we just didn't. Like, in all honesty, fourth quarter of 2025 sucked for us. I don't know what, after all these years, we had no residential business, none. We had a ton of commercial business, thank God, and that's a whole nother conversation about why we have commercial business. But thank God we had that, and we missed a few paychecks. We kept paying our staff, but that was no fun. And thankfully, in January, we got a job in Chicago, and we got a bunch of multifamily coming in, and it turned around, but.
Well, see, and it's funny because
no fun.
I'm with you, Kelly. When Joann said, I'm not sure, nothing's really been blah, blah, blah. Like, this is the most that we've talked about your business in all the years I've known you. And literally, I say it all the time. I have radar for the ones who know what they're talking about and the ones that are just talking smack. It's like, you sound good, you look good, you're pretty, but not a lot happening behind the scenes there. And I can see and hear in your things. And that's when Joann was saying that. I didn't want to cut her off because I could see you were ready to add to it. But I had the exact same thought. I'm like, you guys have such good basic business sense that you are instinctively making right decisions along the way that are leading it to feel maybe just a little bit smoother than it might have been. And then add to it, Kelly, your point that you're level-headed. And you said it, Joann, before, you're not drama queens. You're not looking for trouble. You're going to come to things with clarity. And it's funny because if this designer's listening, she'll know herself in this. But I have a designer that I love and respect. You probably know her, I'm not going to say it, and been in business many years and literally found herself in August with no business on the books. No business on the books. None. Not, 2 or 3 projects that she's closing out, nothing on the books, has a studio, has an employee, has all the things. And we're not in contact regularly, but every once in a while, I will get calls from people who know they can trust me and they can reach out. And she'll just be like, she's like, basically, I don't even know why I'm calling you. It's just like, it's like a lifeline. Like, if I just tell it to you, maybe it won't be true, or maybe. And I remember I was like, no. I know you too well. I know the way you run your business. This is your stomach punch, but you will get through this. Please do not jump ship. You got to get another loan. You got to leverage something. You got to put something on a credit card I said, just hang on. And then we did some more critical things, analysis of actual things and blah, blah, blah. But I know her business enough to know. And I just said to her, I said, you understand, like, window works. Okay. And I don't have any problem telling people this because it's just a fact of life. Window Works keeps a treasury account. It's our rainy day account of $260,000. And then we have a $200,000 line of credit. Now you don't need that for a business that does $500,000 a year, but you need a $50,000 one and another $50,000 one, right? And I told her the story of my son-in-law. So JC has owned the business now 3 years. Last March 2025, I remember he looked at me. It was definitely past the middle of March. And he knows who to come to for certain things. He goes to Vinny for certain things, me for certain things or whatever. And one day, whole office is closed, and I always walk over to Window Works and say goodnight to him before I leave. And he just looks, I go, "You okay?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'm just feeling it." And I'm like, I go, "Okay, what's going on?" And he goes, "Well, it's like, say March 20th. He said, I am completely through the treasury account. That's our slush fund. I'm completely through it." He said, "And I've got 60,000 on the line of credit left." And what was so funny was I smiled. I went, "Oh, thank God, Jay." Now WindowWorks payroll is about $30,000 a week. Okay, so he's got not even a week's worth of expenses because he just has payroll and then the other expenses. But I just looked at him and I said, "Oh, thank God." And he's like, "Thank God." And I go, "Jay, it's March. You have 2 weeks until the sun comes back to New Jersey and everybody wakes out of their winter coma and everybody starts painting their bedrooms and they need new blinds and they start going in their backyard to rake the leaves and do the crap and they need awnings." I said, "Oh my God, we have run through this by January before. You are golden." And it was just like such a perspective for him because it's his 3rd year of running the business. And for me, I'm used to Vinny in the beginning of February going, "Girl, I don't know what you're going to do, but I need 100K by Friday." Like, beg, borrow, steal, kill that cold pile, do something.
I'm telling you, it doesn't matter how long you've been in business, you will have those moments.
That's right.
Like we were looking at each other just 4 months ago and going,
Yes.
"What in the world?"
Right. Exactly.
And but I've been thinking about this as you're talking, and I'm thinking about when we've been talking about being braver together, but I told you that my first career was in property management, and it was right after 9/11, and I was let go like out of the blue from a very illustrious career.
Wow.
And remember, I was the breadwinner.
Yeah,
And
gosh.
so that was very, very painful for me.
Yeah,
And
on all the levels,
I
professional,
always joke,
personal,
like,
financial.
I never went to therapy, and I super should have. So fast forward, Joann and I have been together 10 years. And now, prior to this, anytime we would pass one of my properties that I used to manage, I would get like visibly choked up. Like Joann would know, like, "Oh God,
Take a different rope, recalculate, left turn.
Like,
And they were all over Atlanta.
Yeah. And if anybody ever asked me, I would instantly start crying. I mean, I was like not getting over it. It's been a million years. Like I had moved on. I had this great career. And so 10 years in, I get a call from my admin assistant who had, been my admin at the time and said, now I've switched companies and the senior VP is looking for a designer. Do you want to come and speak with her about designing our models and leasing centers and whatever? And I'm like wanting to be sick. I'm like, I don't think I can go back into that world. Like it's not healthy for me. Yeah. And Joann was like right there with me. And she's like, "Whatever you want to do." And my husband's going, "Get over yourself. I mean, come on. It's been 10 years, for God's sake, Kelly." And
put a couple of zeros on that fee. It'll make you feel better.
And so I'm like, okay, I'm getting over it. And we go. And 10 years later, we are still working for that company. It has saved us, like I just said, in last quarter when we had no residential. We are designing properties I used to manage.
Oh my God.
It's such a full circle thing. But I'm telling you this because, like you say, what are some of the hard things that you came up against? And Joann and I go, "Oh, there are not that many." that was one of those.
Yeah.
But because we were together and we kind of looked at it positively and jumped in like we always do and made it something, it turned into a lifeline, a beautiful lifeline. We have the greatest working relationship with
That's
them.
one of the best things we ever did.
On
Wow.
these
And it
properties.
wouldn't have happened without your support, your care. Like,
Right.
Kelly, you
And
needed to
so-
know she had you emotionally, like, in order to do this. This isn't
Yeah.
about, can I design this space? It isn't about, can I price it? It's like, can I walk through the front door?
That's
right?
what it was.
Yeah.
That's what it was. And, you know, I never burned any bridges from that experience, which I very much could have been a sour pickle. And, you know,
it's not you. It's not either of you.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's funny. These questions, you know, make you reflect like you were talking about, you know, our podcast conversations just make you reflect. And
they do. Yeah.
yeah,
No.
I guess it's that, I don't know. We look through life through rose-colored glasses. I think it helps sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I think what it is I think when we do interviews, like over on Window Treatment for Profits, we did a series called Bound by Business. That's the other podcast that I have. And we probably, you know, Jessica Harling led that series, and she probably did, I don't know, 15 or 18 interviews of people who are in business with family members. And, you know, so whether it's me doing the interview with partners like yourself or listening to all the ones that Jessica did, it's very hard to be like, okay, you want to be partners. Check 1, check 2, check 3, check 4. This is this recipe. This is how it'll work. There are certain things, and we've covered them today, what they are. But the rest of it, I really do think it's alignment in core values as people. And then are you bringing that to business, or do you leave your core values as people at home and you do shady things in business? Like, I've met people that, I mean, like, this is such a ridiculous. I was going to say I've never met anybody in the mob, but I actually have. It's Jersey. I mean, you have mob customers, let's be serious. But they don't say they're the mob. It's just their last name. And you're like, oh, you're the mob. It's so bonkers. It's so bonkers, right? But like from a TV film point of view, typically the stereotype of like the mob godfather is, you know, family, 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 shoot that guy dead, family, family, shoot that guy. Like, it's an example of your values don't come to work with you. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so it's hard to identify what makes a partnership work, right? It just,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it was funny. We had a couple of designers approach us who are thinking about starting a partnership and wanted to have like a couple hours with us. And so we told them, well, go ahead and send us some questions. And they sent us like 25 questions, which was really good. I mean, some of them were, you know, quick answers, but I think it's really good to sit down and talk about all those different things that you would have never thought of. Like, should we have separate contracts?
Yeah.
No. I mean, that's we just, you know, we've decided that it's all has to be 50-50, but they were friends. They were a little bit worried about their friendship.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things to think about, but like you said, getting it out in the very beginning will save you, you know, if you have to talk about it.
You do.
Yeah.
Because if you can't have the sticky, hard conversation in the beginning,
Oh, yeah.
how do you expect to have it when you're all wrapped up in each other's finances?
Yeah.
Right?
It's
You
true.
need
Yeah.
to be able to say, and I have to tell you, the other thing is, I think you need to be able to say, I'm sorry when you were wrong, right? Like,
Oh, 100%.
like you can't, like, oh, I thought you knew I was sorry. No. Grown-ups say it out loud. I made a mistake. I misspoke, or I was unkind, or I, didn't do the thing I said I was going to do, right? Like, I find that too. It's a lot of pushing under the rug. And I'm like, the rug just gets lumpy and gross under there. I don't know why you think it's not going to start stinking and smelling.
We just kind of take things head on. We're both Northerners. We don't really.
That's part of it too.
We don't sugarcoat anything. I'm Italian.
I
just don't sugarcoat anything.
Yeah. But do you think that's part of it too? Like, you both are Northerners. You're not like one Southern Belle and one, Yankee here.
We're really pretty straightforate.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know that if there was something happened or whatever, if I get in the office the next morning, I know she's coming at me with it.
She's not going to say, oh, you're precious. She's going to say, this is what you did.
Bless your heart, honey.
Bless your heart. Yeah. No, bless your heart. It's like, okay. Gloves are off.
Yeah. And the other thing I always mention is that, this might come as a surprise, but we don't really socialize outside of work.
Oh, that is a surprise. I just pictured the four of you all going to dinners and all the things.
No, we are joined at the hip 24/7. She is the best travel partner. We have traveled the world together. I know more about Joann. When I'm sitting at a restaurant and I look at the menu, I'm like, oh, Joann would love that. Oh, Joann would hate that. Yeah. Oh, I mean, I know everything, but we just don't. But at the end of the week, we need a break from each other. Yeah.
And what's great is that you are okay with it. Now, one of you isn't like, what's your problem? Why can't we this? You just are both on the same wavelength.
Yeah, no, we're like probably
we do not sweat the small stuff at all. We really don't sweat the small stuff at all.
Yeah, well, you both have kids. You both have grandchildren now, or just you,
I
Joann?
don't. Me. Joann does.
Yeah. I mean, that's interesting. And I think, why it surprises me, not because I think you should do anything, but whenever I see you, we're on a trip. So I feel like like I just imagine life is like that for you guys, but that's silly. That's like a silly story.
Well,
I'm telling
now
myself.
we have, and this is a topic for a whole nother podcast, but we have a whole nother pivot to do because I am building a house in Charleston and I am leaving Atlanta in 2 years. Well, in 18 months. So, but we've already set it up. We opened a satellite office in Charleston last January, which is why we paused the podcast. And all her grandkids are there and her daughters are there. So she's already in Charleston a lot.
Oh, whoa.
And
we're just planting the seeds right now.
Planting seeds. But Joann's also older than me. So she's always, she hasn't told me she's ditching me. She says she's not. But,
But if you can make it so she can do design where her grandchildren are, then you get another couple of years out of her.
Maybe she only works on the big projects and not the little ones anymore. I don't know. So we're in
work it out.
That's that visionary thinking.
We'll
What's the future look like? And so your kids and grandchildren some of them are there. Are you happy to go to Charleston just because of that? Or do you have a connection to Charleston too, Kelly?
Well, I have been visiting one of my best friends in Kiowa Island for the last 15 years. So I have a deep love of Charleston. And my husband and I always said that when we retire, we would be by water. And so he's retiring. I'm not.
Right.
So we are making that move finally.
Well,
and
how serendipitous.
I just got so lucky that Joann is already so connected there.
Yeah.
And so it's crazy. It's been a very easy
because
evolvement.
Water you could retire to. I mean,
No kidding. Yeah. So but we still have, remember that multifamily business that came along 10 years ago? We still have those clients here in Atlanta that are dear to us. So we got it. We have a little river to navigate.
We'll figure it out.
I'm so happy for you both. That seems like a great next chapter that really continues to do what you set out to do. Have the business support the lifestyle that you want. Now that lifestyle includes retirement and grandchildren and all of the things, but you'll still get to do your
We're really lucky. I'm so grateful.
Well, you know what? And I love you for saying that you're really lucky. But like on my podcast, we say you prepared to be lucky. That's it.
I give us credit for working very, very hard.
Yeah, you did the work to be lucky. I mean, there's always luck part of it, but you don't get the luck if you haven't prepared to be lucky, and then you could miss the opportunity. You could look at it and not see it and be like, what was that? I missed it. So it's a lot of work behind the luck. I love it. I'm so happy for you guys. Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Are you doing an insiders tour at High Point this spring of 2026, or is that also off the books for you guys?
That's off the books for this time too.
Yep, we decided we're done. We did it for many years, and then we started really missing our Saturday, and we want to be full on in the showrooms.
Good. Okay, awesome. Well, I have to tell you, this has been so much fun talking with the two of you. Really, really smart ladies. I really appreciate your being here.
Thank you. Well, you're always in our heads, Luann.
Yes.
What's your why?
I love it though. But you know what? It's really a great question. It really is.
Yeah.
It forces
to the core
you.
of it.
It forces you to figure it out. It forces you to not do something stupid.
That's right.
It forces you to not really waste any time.
Yes.
Like, I'm trying to think of an example. Okay, we want this many more followers, but why?
But why? Exactly. Right.
We want to be on this panel. But why?
Right.
You know,
but why?
You have
What's
to be
the
able to answer why, and it makes sense to you. Otherwise,
what are we doing?
Don't waste your time. There's only so much time left.
I love it. Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you, Luann.
Thank you, Luann. We loved it.
Okay, let's slow this down for a hot minute, because what you just heard from Joann and Kelly is not just a sweet story about two women who just get along and love and adore each other. This is a story about structure. Did you notice how clearly they know who does what? There wasn't hesitation. There wasn't overlap. There wasn't, well, we both kind of, blah, blah, blah. They know. That doesn't happen because they're friends. It happens because at some point, they sat down and decided it. If you are in a partnership, or even if you have a senior team member, let me ask you something. Is it crystal clear who owns what? When a decision has to be made, is there a tiebreaker? Or are you both quietly assuming the other person will handle things? When roles are fuzzy, resentment builds. Not immediately, but gradually. And by the time you feel it, you've already been there for too long. Now, let's talk about disagreement. There was no drama in their stories, okay? And of course, it's not because they never disagree. It's because they've decided the business matters more than their individual egos. That's leadership right there. If every disagreement turns into a silent scorecard of who wins, that partnership is not headed in the right direction. If the focus is what's best for the company, that strengthens the business and the partnership. And that's what these ladies do. You always have a choice. Be right or build something, right? Like I always say, you can get what you want or you can be right. Which one do you want to be? Which one do you want to have? And then, of course, in their case, there's also this longevity piece. More than 2 decades in business together. That kind of runway only works when you are aligned at a deeper level. Not just your taste in design, not just your talent, not just work ethic, although these are all important in partnerships, right? But these two ladies are aligned in their standards. They're aligned in the expectations of themselves and of each other. And they're aligned in how they treat their clients and their team. Right? So if you haven't had conversations about what you stand for and how you make decisions, don't be surprised when friction shows up. All right? Because getting on the same page, it doesn't happen by accident. I mean, not that it never happens by accident. Of course, sometimes it can. But mostly it gets there through conversation, right? And through really exploring what the other person's thoughts are about all the little nooks and crannies that take to run a business, right? And if you're newer in business, please listen to this. Do not go into a partnership with somebody because you quote unquote work well together. This is not a strategy. It might be a truth and it might be a good place to start, but it's not the strategy. You need to talk about money. You need to talk about authority. You need to talk about decisions. You need to talk about what if one of you wants to get out. Talk about worst case scenarios while you still like each other. That's the time because you can't imagine it ever being bad. So it's easy and doesn't feel threatening to have these conversations. You got to run your business like a business, right? And if you've been in this a while, this might be your nudge to reassess. If you're in some sort of a partnership, are there blurred lines? Are there responsibilities that quietly shifted but were never officially handed over? Are you carrying something that should belong to someone else? Okay? So the structure that you put around your business, it's not there to restrict your business, it's there to protect it and to protect your partnership. Right? So if you're sitting there thinking, okay, what does this look like in real life? How do they really run the business? Then I say go back and listen to Joann and Kelly's original episode. It is a few hundred episodes back. It's worth scrolling in your podcast app because in that conversation, we break down their intake process step by step. You hear the mechanics. You hear how they onboard, how they set expectations, how they prevent confusion with clients before it even starts. Okay? Today, you heard the leadership maturity of these two women. In that first episode, you'll hear the discipline of process and system. And when you put those two things together, then you will really start to understand why and how their partnership works. Process plus leadership, that's not luck. That's designed. And if you're listening and thinking, I need to level up how I lead, I need to stop reacting and start directing, then I want to tell you about Joann University. On April 16, 2026, our 3-hour intensive Foundations of Leadership and People Strategy is happening. It is led by Jennifer Tokatian. And here's the thing. If you have a team, if you are making bigger decisions, if you feel the weight of leadership but aren't always sure that you're handling it right, this 3-hour class is for you. Foundations of Leadership and People Strategy is about stepping into your CEO role. It's about decision-making frameworks, accountability standards, communication that prevents confusion, and it's about learning how to lead proactively instead of emotionally, right? And these will apply whether you have 2 employees, 20 employees, or a subcontract team of 3 to 5 or 10, right? Because you're leading in all of these situations. And I have to say, I think it's probably even more than finances. It's the least understudied skill by most business people. And it has such an impact on every area of your business. Because if you don't grow your leadership skills, your business will hit a ceiling. And you, unfortunately, will be the reason that it hit that ceiling. Weak leadership shows up as team confusion, underperformance, stalled growth, and constant fires. Strong leadership shows up as ownership, clarity, and momentum. All right? So if you want fewer fires, if you want more ownership from your team, you want to feel confident instead of stretched thin, go to luannnigara.com/leadership-250. You can read all the details there. You can also find it and scroll to it through luannuniversity.com and click on the leadership track. As I said, this intensive is happening April 16th, 2026. All right? So if leadership is the next mountain you are climbing, this is where you get the route before you start the ascent. Thank you, Joann and Kelly, so much for being here today. You ladies are just just fantastic humans, women, business leaders, design firm owners, all the things. Truly, truly appreciate and admire you both. And thank you for joining me today. I do appreciate that you show up. Decide to be excellent. Thank you so much for joining me again today. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks, your resource for custom window treatments and awnings. To learn how we can help you on your next interior design project, go to www.windowworks-nj.com. And if you're interested in working with me on your business, either through masterminds or one-on-one coaching, or you want to know how to get my book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, or you just want to know what's going on in the podcast land and where I'm going to be, all of that is found at luannnigara.com. Thank you so much. Have an excellent day.